Welcome back to another Kicking Tables. Today we are delighted to welcome Jose Navas and Ruben Ocampo, the creators of Radioactive Bees. I don't know why it's not murder hornets, because that's the big rage these days, but gentlemen, welcome to Kicking Tables. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So
Thank you. Great to meet you.
let's talk a bit about Radioactive Bees. Why don't you guys, one of you, go ahead, tell us what your game is all about.
Okay, Radioactive Bees is a tile stacking game. It's basically a tile placement game, abstract game, but it has a new component, three-dimensional, and a ring mechanic that adds a lot of strategy to the game. The idea is to get your bees exposed at the end of the rounds and mark them with the radioactive rings to increase their value.
And what's the basic gameplay? How do the rounds play out?
Basically, you have to put your tiles on the board on the hive. When you finish the first level, you start stacking the tiles on top of the previously played pieces, and that goes on until the end. When you can't put any more pieces on the table, you then check how many bees are uncovered and mark it with a ring.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
then
So,
then mhm.
oh no, please go ahead. Go ahead.
No, after that you start all over again. You take your tiles from the board and start all over again. What's the difference between the rounds? The rings that each bee gets that make them more valuable, and in the next rounds you can cover them and give points to the opponents, or at the end when you get four rings, you achieve a mutant queen, and that's the end of the game when you get to convert your bees into mutant queens.
So every round, after you complete each round, you're going to put a new ring into every bee that is showing. There's 4 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yeah,
and
that's
hopefully
correct.
you get each time you get another ring added to bees that are left on top by the time it's done. It's a very, very cool concept, very unique, and I love the 3D element to it.
Yeah, neat. We
Thank
have a level up system almost for your bees as
That's
they go
right.
through.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So, what was the inspiration behind this game? Like, where did the idea of making bees and radio, and how did they get to be radioactive bees?
Go ahead, Ruben.
Um, Jose Luis. Well, Jose Luis is the creator. I'm here helping him support it. But it all started with the hexagonal shape. Um,
Okay.
and he had previously developed another game that also had the hexagonal shape as the way of creating kind of like the strategic moves. So by adding the 3D, the third dimension, the stackable element, this kind of visual metaphor of the beehive emerged, and it's been really cool to see the evolution of the game. I live in Chicago, and Jose Luis was visiting here a couple of years ago when he first had kind of the idea for the game. So at the time, they were not radioactive, and as he started thinking through the idea of adding the rings and increasing the value, kind of like this narrative, this story of the
Mm.
radioactivity started
Yeah.
emerging, and it just became really cool thinking about, like, the stronger it becomes, the more radioactive it becomes, then the more valuable it is, and then at the end it becomes a mutant queen, and it just made for like a really cool story of what otherwise would be a cool game, but without that extra narrative that just makes it more appealing and more interesting.
Yeah, it is a really great concept. I actually really love the concept. I notice on your website you talk about the Explorer Squad version, basically a two-player edition of Radioactive Bees. Will that two-player edition be included in the four-player edition? Because it's just a smaller board. Is that the difference
Yeah.
between the two? But if you
Well,
buy the four-player version, will you also get the two-player version?
we're planning to actually we're gonna make a early bird uh, pledge with the double-sided board for
Okay.
the first 48 hours. You're gonna get the double-sided board with both options: the full concept, the full game, and the fat version that is the small one.
So just flip the board over for two-player.
Yeah.
That's a really
That's a
great idea.
fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is essentially it's a tile laying game with the three dimensions. How high have you guys? Is there a set limit that you can get to? How many levels have you guys seen? How many levels do most games go?
I don't have the exact level, but I played sixth level, for example.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
it the rules makes you go smaller each time that you go up because you have to obey some rules. For example, you have to touch at least two tiles from the level below, and that makes that some spots get unused,
Hmm.
and it goes uh, smaller every time. So
And you also can't
uh,
cover up any gaps in the level below.
exactly.
And is that sort of one of the reasons behind that was to force players to keep going higher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. What kind of hurdles did you come across while you were playtesting the game, and what was one of the hardest things to get right as you were developing it?
Um, I think the prototypes, because our pieces are three-dimensional, are very, I can't say, unique shapes. So we had to develop a PNP, play print and play,
Hmm.
so it was easy to people access the game. For example, we created the TTS mode also, so people could play test it. Here in Colombia, I made some prototypes last year, and I meet some groups of gamers
Yeah.
and presented the game. There we could improve some things of the game about the rules. For example, I sent to Ruben a prototype at the beginning of the year, and he made some play testing too. Mm.
Some of the things, if I can add, just kind of like thinking
Sure.
about improvements through play testing. Simple things. One of the things that Jose Luis was very keen on from the beginning is because it's stackable to make sure that the pieces could fit in together without needing a lot of force to put in,
Right.
but
Yeah.
without taking them out so easily. Because in other games that follow kind of that similar stackable concept, what happens is you stand up, you bump the table, and the whole game is like all over the place. So like how to get that right stackability, if you may. A simple thing that came out of just testing it through gameplay was the rings were originally kind of a light green, and with the yellow background, it was hard to see them. So the
Mm.
rings are
Yeah.
now orange, which makes for that contrast so much easier to be able to like gauge, where you are and how you're earning points and all that sort of thing. Um, and then another one that was pretty simple is like in the original design, in order to keep it clean, there was no score marks
Yeah.
along the
Run on the side.
scoreboard. And a lot of the feedback was, well, it's really hard to count points. But where we decided was just to add a little score every 5 spots, so that it's easy for you to find, where you are without having to like put a whole bunch of numbers around the scoreboard.
That
Also, the colorblind design, we're still working on that. We have to improve it a little more because some people have told us that still hard to differentiate. Well said. Okay.
Yeah.
Between colors of the tiles. So we're gonna, after we found, we're gonna improve the colorblind design. And another suggestion we have received is to increase the size of the scoring scoring track,
Okay. Yeah.
because it's a little small when you play with the four player version is a little hard to keep the track of the points.
It gets tight trying to
Yeah.
share one score spot with three other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I imagine so. I mean, that's what playtesting is all about, right? You see
Uh-huh.
what works, what doesn't. I always love to hear the how games evolved through playtesting. It's great to hear those stories.
The good thing is to hear that there is some small things. There's no big problem with the game. Everybody
Yeah.
likes the story of the game, the concept, the mechanics. So we have to improve some little details.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
place to be. It's a good place to be. That's
Small
for sure.
steps
Yeah.
are good. So, are there any expansion plans? Are we going to see like nuclear ants or like plutonium butterflies or anything like that added at any point?
Maybe next year we're gonna think of another radioactive bug that we could use on a game.
Write down the plutonium butterflies idea.
Yeah.
That's yours. You're welcome to it.
Thank you.
What about your Kickstarter stretch goals? Can you share what you're planning to do there?
Okay. Well, the thing the first stretch goal is going to be the double size board. I received some advice that we could use a early bird pledge that could be used after as a stretch goal. So we're gonna use the double size board to the we're gonna use it as a first stretch goal,
Okay.
and then maybe we're gonna use some minis to replace the score marker, the the central piece of the game when the
Oh,
mutant bees become. We're gonna replace it for maybe some mini,
That's cool.
and I don't know. I think we won't use so many stretch goals. I don't want to limit the game
No.
after some things that might be important to offer from the beginning.
Sure, of course. Yeah, a lot of stretch goals really are just like quality, just adding higher quality that you because you have more funds to be able to afford it. But yeah, no, that's those kind of things. That sounds cool.
so after your campaign is done, I'm assuming say somebody's missed the campaign, but they really want to get this. Are people going to be able to find this online in stores? What are your post Kickstarter plans?
We're gonna use GameFound as a pledge manager.
Okay.
So I think we're going to keep selling through their website.
Okay. And do you have plans to try to get it into retail, or is it just going to be available online?
I don't know. I don't have it clear right now. I hope that we could sell it to retailers in the U.S., for example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know very much about that market. Maybe Canada. I don't know. I wish.
Yeah, we'd
We
love
do-
to see it in Canada.
We do too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, honestly, I'm excited for your game. I think it's a fantastic concept. I love the way the gameplay is so easy to learn. You've done some amazing, even just short videos that explain the gameplay. But what I love about your game is it is so easy to learn that you can learn just by watching someone play. And that is
Yeah.
so unique in a game these days. Is you watch someone play and you know exactly what the rules are now. And so, congratulations on that. Congratulations on coming to Kickstarter very soon. We wish you all the best in your campaign. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Very
Yeah.
welcome.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please make sure to support us on Kickstarter. The campaign is going live on October 13th. And make sure that you subscribe to OMG Nexus with the link showing on the screen below.